This is an orthokeratology case where the patient's higher myope, around 7 to 8 diopters, and was fitted with corneal scleral lenses. The lenses are decentering down and out in both eyes, and patient's getting some hazy vision, fluctuating vision. If we look at the baseline anatomy, we can see that the corneas themselves are decentered, and so that's going to shift the lenses, and we can't do too much about what the anatomy dictates. But I also see some steepening up here, which I think is an artifact. And if we look at the lenses, we can see where Wave has incorporated that into the topography as well as the design of the lens. And I think this steep area here is causing causing Wave to produce a lens with too much sagittal depth superiorly. Wave is trying to match what it thinks is the cornea diving downward, and I think that could be pushing the lens up here and forcing it downward. So what I recommend doing is going back into the original photo process view and editing out or erasing the Meyers up here. So you want to go back into the photo view, and you may want to, before making any changes here because you've designed some lenses already, is to export all this patient's data, rename the original file to something, append it with something like unedited or original, and then re-import the patient into your database, and you'll have two versions of the patient, one called original or unedited, and then the second one you can name it append edited and make additional changes. So that's optional, and just in case you want to have a record or reference of what you originally started working on. But from there, you'll just hit center again. It'll reprocess, and then what you want to do is go to the eraser and just erase this up here that corresponds here. Maybe take out a little bit of this as well. So your new topography will kind of look like this. You'll have to extrapolate again, and then you can use that to build a new lens. So here's a lens that I designed off that edited topography. We can see that there's no longer a steep area up here. And then a couple other differences in this lens that I'll point out. I kept the same overall diameter. It's still freeform. There's some asymmetry in this cornea, temporal to nasal. I left the blending turned off. I did remove the shape factor though. I think this patient might have a little bit too much correction. Even though the patient's taking a minus over refraction in the morning, the vision improves throughout the day. And if we look at the posterior topography, essentially it looks like a central island here. It's not really a central island because we're still flatter than baseline, but this could indicate there's just a little too much push right in the middle, and that we could even be getting some distortion to the cornea. If we look at the posterior topographies for the left eye, there's a similar appearance, so it kind of looks like there's a central island, but this could just be distortion from too much central push. The lens that you have right now, I think, is close to about 10 diopters of topo demand, even after removing the shape factor. So quite a bit more demand in that lens. I think we can back off a little bit, and by improving the positioning of the lens, we can center or we can concentrate the myopic correction within the pupil zone so that the patient appreciates more of the correction. That way we don't have to flatten quite as much. Another thing I did was bring up the edge of the lens a little bit. It was aligned pretty close out to the HVID, and we probably don't want to compress the limbus very much. So what I'd like to do is set the pink dot about 1 millimeter inside HVID and get that right above 20 microns. That way we get good clearance out around the limbus where those stem cells are. And then I did maintain a 37 edge angle as well. These changes may require you to make some further changes to the fit of the lens, but overall, in the long run, I think it's better to not have too much bearing right at the limbus. I think the other parameters of your lens can stay as they are. What's on the screen right now might not match exactly, but I just wanted to point out the differences that I think would be good to make. So I think once we get this lens to center a little bit better, get rid of this central distortion, we'll have a better idea where the patient's refraction really stands. And if we do need to make some mild power changes at that point, I think they'll be a little bit more effective or a little bit more accurate at that point. So Hopefully these ideas are a little bit of a help to you. Best luck with your patient, and thanks for watching.